Good morning, everyone. And today I'm going to talk about how Britney Spears became one of the top 100 influential people in 2021, and how she overcame every struggle and difficulty in her life under the eyes of the public, and why I believe that she deserves this title. Okay, so here's my table of content. I'll give you a brief introduction of Britney first, and I'll show you what happened to her in the last 2 decades, and then we come to the main discussion and the conclusion. So first, who is Britney Spears? And to put it simply, she is the pop star of a generation. In late 90s, Britney made her debut with Baby One More Time, the album as you can see on the left side, and with her debut, her name immediately spread across not only the US but the entire world. And this album has sold more than 30 million copies around the world to date. And later on, she released a couple of albums, and they were also big commercial success, making Britney a household name in the world. You can ask I think you can ask a random person who is the most popular female singer in the early 2000s, and I can guarantee that almost everyone, their answer will always be Britney Spears. And she's just such an iconic figure in the Hollywood entertainment industry. But is it the reason why she's on the most influential list? Well, part of, but I think actually that mostly not. So what makes her to the list? Well, to talk about it, we have to know what happened to her. Unfortunately, as a global icon, it did not win her any respect as a person. In the early 2000s, the U.S. society is still kind of conservative, and they are afraid this kind of girl figure who is a little bit sexy and cute, and in their aspect, they thought that she's a danger, like blurring the line between innocent child and sexual woman, as they would describe it. And they thought that she was a dangerous woman who was a bad influence to the kids, and it's better to pick up on her. And so they decided to do it. So she had no choice but to confront a dozen of interviews with explicit questions about her private life, relationship, or even disrespectful version, are you still a virgin, in those interviews, which we know is entirely inappropriate. And a lot of people in that day dragged her for doing a normal young woman would do in their daily life, like dating a guy and maybe having sex with them, and all these normal things suddenly became shameful on her. And of course, as a public figure, especially a world-known celebrity, she was followed by a bunch of paparazzis everywhere. And in 2000s, the paparazzi machine was accepted unforgiving, and it did not let Britney breathe for a second. And for all these factors, because all these factors led to her mental breakdown in the later future. She went to therapists and psychiatric institutions several times in mid-2000s, which in the end led to the worst situation that was yet to come. In 2008, Britney's father obtained the conservatorship of her, which deprived of her freedom for more than 10 years. And under the conservatorship, Britney had to obey whatever she was told to do by her father. She can't go out whenever she wants, she can't meet anyone she wants to meet, and she can't even choose what kind of job she wants to do. And she was literally I can say that she was literally a puppy, or even worse, a cash cow. It is a cash cow of his father. And even her personal assets that was obtained from her hard work, from her albums, her concerts, her any commercial performances, those income was also mostly under her father's name, which means that Britney Spears under the conservatorship basically have no right to anything. And throughout and the world, and this conservatorship was a very extreme situation, and Britney one day hinted on the social media that she needed help, and soon the situation was exposed to the society. Many people all over the world started this Free Britney movement, and it became a strong public pressure. And in the end, they succeeded. The conservatorship was finally ended in 2021, and the world finally brought justice to this iconic pop star. And throughout these years, Britney has come so far to where she is now. But how does this make her influential? Allow me to repeat a reference from the introduction in time. It's a little bit long, but I really like it very much. Despite the darkness that has surrounded her life, Britney embodies joys and shares the light of her beautiful heart, forever the superstar. So we stand by her and root for her as she turns pain into purpose, her unwavering spirit stronger than ever. Well, I think, ironically, in this case, I think Britney Spears did not want to become influential in this way. Of course, her music interest was a success and also made her influential, but in this list, her influence comes from the way she faced with her constant trauma and insecurity, and I think it is cruel, we have to say. But we can see how kindly she was throughout these years, although being a victim of general misogyny in the early 2000s. She handled these disrespectful comments very kindly and professionally, and we can see from her early interviews. Those people say that she was a bad influence, but in fact, I think she has inspired so many people, especially female artists, to not be afraid to show themselves. And her kindness brought her a lot of support in return in the Free Britney movement, even after all these years since her debut. And I think, and under the conservatorship, she was initially afraid and chose to obey. But then she became brave enough to stand up against her once beloved father, giving a powerful, detailed and decided to give a powerful, detailed statement about how her father treated her and harmed her in the last decade on court. And by doing this, she showed the world that she, as a person, should take back her basic human right, and that is freedom. And last, after all these years being traumatized, her strong will remains. The will that she decided to take back control of her life has inspired so many people that they started to know that they are able to overcome every difficulty, and that they will be stronger than ever. And I think that all these things above is a great lesson that we can all learn from her. And this is why I believe that she was a great influence in this world in 2021. In conclusion, I believe that Britney Spears is a strong survivor who has inspired so many people. I believe that Britney Spears is truly one of the most influential person in 2021, and I think that she has proved that she was more than just a pop icon. I see that her story has inspired so many people around the world. Her kindness, her braveness, and her strong will, as we mentioned above, keep making influence through her popularity and her music and her fame. And in the end, more and more people will be and in the end, I believe that more and more people will be encouraged to stand up for themselves, to pluck up their courage to face their life again, just as they learned from Britney. So, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. And here comes the Q&A section, of course.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I believe that Ray has made it very clear why Britney Spears deserves the title here. And I think we already have a question or comment. Yes, Emily?
First, I think that your presentation is very fluent and it is very informative. And you mentioned that Britney, that her courage and her defense toward the world. Do you think that it affects the Me Too action, or do you think it is directly related to the defense of women rights in Western countries or something?
Yeah, I think this is a very great question. Like, well, Me Too activity was like a couple years ago. I believe that 2018, 2017, around that period. And the Free Britney movement was actually started last year. So I believe instead of like it affects the Me Too activity, I believe it is like one of the, I believe like the effect of Me Too activity. And also, I think this kind of to the effect that decided to bring to bring back to bring back the woman right and to eliminate the misogyny in the society. And I think that the Free Britney Spears movement actually like make Western society started to reflect the misogyny in their society, not only in the early 2000s and how they have become right now. And now I think like this kind of movement started to make them start to think of to reflect their culture and their this kind of this kind of culture and their life. Yes.
But thank you, Emily. Yeah, I think it's a very good question. I think we also have Stanley. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Stanley, and what do you think is the main component that leads to the success of the Free Britney action?
The main I do believe that it was the public pressure that started to gain from the social media. Well, the detail of this movement is that the conservatorship was initially like there is some hint, and that's to hint it that Britney Spears is under a very extreme situation, and Britney asked for help on social media, and this movement started to blow up around the U.S. and maybe around the world. And I think that this kind of tremendous popularity of this movement and the public pressure has caused her father to have no choice but to give up his conservatorship on her. Yeah, so I do believe that public pressure do play a significant part in this movement. Yeah.
Thank you, Stanley. I think again it's an important question, and I think Ray also provided a very thorough answer. So can we still have another question or comment?
Hi, I'm Grace.
Yes.
I want to ask, as we know, Britney was a fashion icon when she came out in the late 90s. And do you think she really accelerate the growing of the thought that girls can wear what they want to wear? Because I know that at that time, lots of people have conservative concept that do not like the way Britney wear her clothes.
Yes, I do believe that her action do like inspire women, do inspire female to decide what they wanted to be. Like, for example, I know that like some of the female singers and entertainers in the industry also are inspired by Britney Spears. Like maybe like I know that Lady Gaga and several people and other people, I think. And I believe that Britney Spears, she might not be the first one, but I believe she is a great influence on the whole like Western culture to make it more like open-minded and to add more diversity and like to, yeah, I do believe, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Grace, for the question. I think it's another really good question. I think I also saw Caroline. So any question or comment?
As we know that many women strive for fight for their rights, and what kind of aspect do you think that Britney is different from other women?
Britney is different from other women. I think that is a. I think that is a very complicated question, but because I do believe that everyone is different from everyone else, and I think I think this is maybe you can say the one thing they share in common, and it is also the difference from other people, that his strong will and her braveness that really brings her that really shows her that she needs the braveness, that she shows that she needs help, and it really in return brings so many people to stand by her side, like her, I can say, like sincerity, or maybe this kind of, but at least I think that I think at least she's not a sincerity. She's not a insincere person, and I do believe that this really brought her a lot of support. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Ray, and thank you, Caroline, for the question. Yeah, I think it's true. I think, of course, maybe her fan also plays a big part, especially in the time when she tried to fight against her father's. And we know she did exhibit some maybe irrational, or you may say weird behaviors. So that's why at the time many people worry about her mental health. All right, so I think we have a great presentation by Ray